He healed the beast, unaware it was her royal tyranny's most dangerous secret. The Zereth Empire was known across the galaxy for only one thing: fear. Its ships were sharp and black, its laws were cruel and final, and its ruler, called her royal tyranny by those who dared whisper, had never shown mercy. Entire star systems obeyed because they had seen what happened when someone did not. Deep beneath the imperial capital world, far below the shining towers and parade halls, there was a place no citizen had ever seen. It was not marked on any map. It did not exist in any official record. It was called Vault 7. Inside Vault 7, something massive breathed. The sound echoed through the metal chamber, slow and painful, like the lungs themselves were breaking. Thick chains made from gravitic alloy held the creature in place. Energy fields wrapped around its body, glowing faintly blue. The air smelled of burned metal, antiseptic chemicals, and old blood. The creature was enormous, larger than a cargo shuttle. Its body was covered in dark plates of flesh and bone, scarred by old wounds and deep cuts. One of its limbs was twisted at an unnatural angle. Another was missing entirely. Its eyes, when they opened, burned with a dull gold light filled not with rage, but exhaustion. Imperial scientists stood behind thick glass walls, watching in silence. "It is failing," one of them said quietly. "We have tried everything," another replied. "Regeneration serums, neural shock suppression, combat stimulants, nothing works anymore." A third scientist lowered her voice. "If it dies, the secret dies with it." That was unacceptable. Above them, in a private observation chamber, her royal tyranny watched without emotion. Her posture was perfect, her expression calm. Only the tightening of her fingers betrayed concern. "The weapon cannot die," she said. "Find a solution." "There is one option," the chief scientist said carefully, "but it is risky." She turned her gaze toward him. "Speak." "A human." Silence filled the room. Humans were strange creatures, weak by imperial standards, short-lived, soft-skinned. Yet again and again they survived things they should not. They healed wounds that made no sense. They adapted where others broke. "They use unconventional methods," the scientist continued. "Empathy, pattern-based healing, manual biological correction." Her royal tyranny considered this. "Bring me one," she said at last, quietly. Elias Mar was not a soldier. He was not a scientist. He was not important. He was a frontier healer, living on the edge of civilized space, where people could not afford advanced medical machines. He treated miners crushed by cave-ins, pilots burned by engine failures, and colonists poisoned by alien soil. He used simple tools, clean hands, careful observation. Most of all, he used patience. That was why the Zereth agents chose him. One moment Elias was closing his small clinic for the night. The next, the world went dark. When he woke, he was on a sleek metal ship moving faster than anything he had ever felt before. Armed guards watched him. None spoke. "You have been selected to perform a medical task," one finally said. "Cooperate and you will live." Elias swallowed his fear. "Who is the patient?" There was a pause. "An animal," the guard replied. Vault 7 felt wrong the moment Elias stepped inside. The air was too cold, too clean, like a place meant for machines, not living things. Then he heard the breathing, slow, broken, painful. His heart began to race. When the lights fully activated, Elias saw the creature. He froze. It was nothing like any animal he had ever seen. It was enormous, chained, wounded beyond reason. Energy scars crisscrossed its body. Old surgical lines marked its flesh, precise and cruel. This was not nature, this was made. "That's not an animal," Elias whispered. "Your task is to heal it," an imperial officer said sharply. "Nothing more." Elias took a step closer, ignoring the warning alarms that began to hum. The creature's eye opened. It locked onto him. The scientists behind the glass tensed. Weapons systems powered up. Elias raised his hand slowly, palms open. "It's okay," he said softly, more to himself than the creature. I'm not here to hurt you. The creature growled, low, weak, uncertain. Elias noticed something important. It was afraid. He moved closer, step by careful step. The chains rattled as the creature shifted, but it did not strike. Its breathing grew faster then slower. Elias studied its wounds. They were deep but not random. Every injury looked controlled, designed. Even the missing limb had clean edges. Someone had taken parts of it away. "Who did this to you?" Elias whispered. The creature's eye focused on him. Its golden light flickered. Something impossible happened. The growling stopped. The breathing steadied. Sensors across Vault 7 spiked with sudden readings. "It's calming," a scientist whispered. "That's never happened." Elias reached out slowly and placed his hand against the creature's thick, scarred skin. The flesh was warm, alive, not a weapon, not a monster, a patient. Elias closed his eyes and listened, not with machines but with instinct. He felt the tension in the muscles, the imbalance in its stance, the damage in its nervous system. "They've been forcing it to fight," he said quietly, "over and over, without healing properly." "That is irrelevant," an officer snapped. "Can you fix it or not?" Elias looked up, anger flashing in his eyes. "Pain is never irrelevant," he said. "Not for anything that lives." Against orders, he began working. He cleaned wounds the Empire had ignored. He adjusted bone alignment by hand, slowly, carefully. He spoke as he worked, explaining what he was doing, even though no one had told him the creature could understand words. The creature did not resist. Minutes passed, then hours. For the first time in years, Vault 7 was silent except for steady breathing. The chains slackened slightly as the creature relaxed. Her royal tyranny watched from above, eyes narrowed. "What is he doing differently?" she asked. "He's not treating it like a weapon," the scientist replied. "He's treating it like a person." That made her uncomfortable. When Elias finally stepped back, exhausted, the creature lowered its massive head and rested it gently against the floor. Alive, stable, healing. Elias wiped sweat from his brow. "It needs rest," he said, "and no more fighting." The officers exchanged uneasy looks. The creature's golden eye met Elias once more. And for just a moment, so brief no machine recorded it, there was something in that gaze that looked like gratitude. Elias did not know it yet, but with one act of simple human care, he had touched the Empire's most dangerous secret. And the monster in chains would never be the same again. Elias Mar did not sleep that cycle. They gave him a small room near Vault 7, clean and silent, with no windows. The walls hummed softly with hidden machines. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the creature's wounds, its tired golden eye, the way it had relaxed under his hand like a frightened animal finally allowed to rest. Except it was not an animal. He knew that now. When the door opened, 2 Imperial guards stood waiting. "You will continue treatment," one said. "Follow." Elias nodded and walked with them. Vault 7 felt different when he returned. The air was warmer. The lights were dimmer. The sharp smell of chemicals had faded, replaced by something closer to clean metal and living skin. The creature lay where he had left it, chains still in place, but its breathing was deeper now, stronger. Monitors flickered with data the scientists barely understood. "It should not be improving this fast," one whispered. Elias ignored them. He stepped forward slowly. "I'm back," he said aloud, unsure why he felt the need to announce himself. The golden eye opened. It focused on him immediately. No fear this time, just awareness. Elias felt his throat tighten. "Good," he said softly. "You're still with me." He approached the injured limb first. The bone had been badly damaged long ago, forced to heal wrong so it could keep fighting. He placed his hands carefully and began adjusting the alignment again, slower this time. The creature hissed, a low sound of pain. "I know," Elias said gently. "I know it hurts. I won't rush." Behind the glass, the scientists watched in disbelief. "No sedation," one muttered. "No restraints beyond the chains." Yet the creature did not attack. Elias worked for hours. He cleaned old scars that had never been treated. He applied simple compounds made from basic medical supplies, not imperial nanotech. He used pressure, warmth, and time. Most of all, he talked. "Your muscles are trying to protect you," he explained. "But they don't need to anymore. You're safe, just for now." The creature's breathing slowed again. Something strange began to happen. As Elias worked, he noticed the creature reacting to his words, not just tone, but meaning. When he said rest, its body relaxed. When he warned before touching a sensitive area, it prepared itself. It understood. Elias stopped. "You can hear me, can't you?" he asked quietly. The creature did not move. Then slowly its massive head tilted slightly toward him, a clear response. Elias felt his heart pound. Behind the glass, alarms quietly activated. "That was intentional," a scientist said. "It understood him." Elias swallowed. He stepped closer to the creature's face. "Do you understand what I'm saying?" he asked. The golden eye narrowed, focusing. Its jaw moved slightly. No sound came out, but the motion was controlled, careful, trying. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. "You're not a beast," he whispered. "They lied." A sharp command echoed through the chamber. "Healer, step back." Elias turned to see an Imperial officer entering the vault, flanked by guards. Above them, behind reinforced glass, her royal tyranny herself had arrived. Her presence pressed down on the room like gravity. "You are exceeding your task," she said calmly. "You were brought here to heal a weapon." Elias faced her, hands trembling but steady. "It's not a weapon," he said. "It's a person." The word hung in the air. The creature growled softly, not in anger but warning. Energy fields brightened. Weapons powered up. Elias moved without thinking. He placed himself between the creature and the guards. "Don't," he said. "You'll hurt it." Her royal tyranny studied him with cold interest. "You show concern for something that has destroyed fleets," she said. Elias shook his head. "No. I see something that was used to destroy fleets." Silence followed. At last she raised a hand. The guards lowered their weapons, though reluctantly. "Continue," she said, "but remember your place." She left as quietly as she had arrived. Elias exhaled shakily. He turned back to the creature. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." The creature's massive head lowered slightly. An echoing, broken sound came from its throat, not a roar. A voice trying to remember how to exist. Elias leaned closer. "It's okay," he said. "Take your time." Days passed. Each session brought improvement. The creature began to sit more evenly. Its movements grew controlled instead of violent. The pain faded enough for thought to return. Elias noticed scars on its head, fine, precise lines near the skull. "Neural modifications, forced ones." "They changed you," he murmured. "Didn't they?" The golden eye closed briefly, then opened, a slow, deliberate blink. "Yes." Elias felt anger rise in his chest, sharp and hot. "They erased parts of you," he said, "but not everything." One cycle, as Elias worked near the creature's chest, he felt a subtle vibration beneath his hands. A rhythm different from breathing, communication. The creature focused on him with intense effort. Its jaw moved again. This time sound came out, broken, rough, weak. "Man." The scientists gasped. Elias froze. You spoke," he whispered. The creature tried again. "Elias," hearing his name nearly broke him. "You remember," he said softly. The creature's body trembled. The effort cost it dearly. "Don't push," Elias said quickly. "We'll go slow." Behind the glass, panic spread. "If it can speak," one scientist said, "then it remembers." "And if it remembers," another replied, "then the truth is not buried." High above, her royal tyranny watched with narrowing eyes. The creature spoke only rarely after that, saving its strength. But it listened constantly. Elias told its stories, about humans, about frontier worlds, about people who fixed broken things because no one else would. He spoke of kindness, of choice, of healing without chains. The creature absorbed every word. One cycle, Elias noticed something new. The creature was no longer looking at the chains. It was looking past them, Thinking, planning, not escape, understanding. Elias stepped back after a long session, exhausted but hopeful. "You're getting better," he said, "stronger in the right ways." The creature lowered its head close to him, careful not to scare him. "Truth hurts," it said slowly. Elias met its gaze. "Yes," he replied, "but lies hurt longer." The golden eye burned brighter, not with rage but with something long denied. Dignity. Across the empire, unseen forces began to shift. Because for the first time, the monster in chains was no longer just healing. It was remembering who it had been. And humanity had done what tyranny never could. It had listened. Elias Mar began to notice the change before anyone else did. It was not in the machines or the numbers flashing across the monitors. It was in the way the creature watched the room. Before, its gaze had been dull or confused, focused only on pain. Now the golden eye followed movements with purpose. It observed guards, scientists, even the cameras hidden in the walls. It was learning. Elias felt both hope and fear because of that. He arrived at Vault 7 for another session, carrying his simple medical kit. The guards still watched him closely, but they no longer treated him like a useless civilian. They had seen what his presence did. The creature lifted its head slightly when Elias entered. "You're early," Elias said softly, as if greeting an old friend. The creature made a low sound that might have been agreement. Elias moved to examine its chest and limbs. The muscles were stronger now, balanced. The tremors that once shook its body were gone. "You're healing faster than expected," he said. "But this part," he tapped gently near the head scars, "this takes time." The creature's eye narrowed, focused. "Mind hurts," it said slowly. Elias nodded. "I know. They forced changes on you, took control away." The creature's breathing deepened. Memory pressed against the surface. That day, Elias noticed something else. The creature was no longer responding only to him. When a junior technician dropped a tool, the creature turned its head toward the sound. When an officer spoke harshly, it tensed, not in fear but awareness. It was awake. Behind the glass, whispers grew louder. "It's adapting." "No, it's thinking." High above the vault, in a sealed chamber of black glass and gold metal, her royal tyranny watched the feeds in silence. Her advisors stood behind her, nervous. "The human has gone too far," one said. "It's regaining autonomy." Her royal tyranny's eyes stayed on the screen. "That was always the risk." "But if it remembers who it was," she raised a hand. Silence followed. "It will not be allowed to leave this place," she said. Elias felt the tension increase in the vault. Security doubled. Weapons systems remained active at all times. The energy fields grew brighter. He did not like it. During one session, he noticed the creature's attention fixed on the far wall. "What are you thinking about?" Elias asked gently. The creature was quiet for a long moment. "Before," it said, struggling. "I chose," Elias froze. "You chose," the creature nodded slowly. "Ruled without fear." The words hit Elias like a blow. "You were a ruler," he whispered. The creature closed its eye briefly, pain flickering across its massive face. "They feared mercy," Elias understood enough. "You were removed," he said. "Changed, used." The creature's jaw tightened. "She did this." Elias did not need to ask who she was. At that moment, alarms rang through Vault 7. Red lights flashed. "Unauthorized conversation detected," an automated voice announced. Energy fields tightened. The creature growled, not in anger but warning. Elias stepped back, hands raised. "It's okay," he said quickly. "I'm not pushing." The alarm stopped, but the message was clear. They were listening. That night, Elias was escorted not to his room but to a different chamber. Smaller, darker, her royal tyranny waited for him. "You are interfering," she said calmly. Elias stood straight. His fear was real, but so was his resolve. "I'm healing," he replied. "That's what you brought me for." "You are restoring memory," she said. "That was not part of the agreement." Elias took a breath. "You can't heal a body and keep the mind broken. They're connected." Her eyes sharpened. "You forget your place, human." Elias shook his head. No, you forgot yours. Silence stretched. You turned a person into a weapon, he continued. And you're afraid because it's becoming a person again. For the first time, her royal tyranny's expression cracked. You know nothing of what it took to hold this empire together, she said coldly. Elias met her gaze. Fear doesn't hold things together, it crushes them. She stared at him for a long moment. Return to your task, she said at last, and say nothing more. Elias was escorted back to his quarters. He did not sleep. The next session was different. The creature seemed tense, alert. Its muscles were coiled not for attack but readiness. They're afraid, Elias whispered. I can feel it. The creature leaned its head closer. They will silence you, Elias swallowed. I know. For a moment, fear threatened to take him. Then he did what humans always did best. He adapted. I can't fight them, Elias said quietly, but I can help you remember who you are, not as a ruler, as a person. The creature's golden eye burned brighter. It teach me, Elias nodded. Choice, control, restraint. Over many cycles, Elias worked not just on the creature's body but its mind. He helped it recognize its own thoughts, separate memory from conditioning. He taught it how to breathe through panic instead of rage. The creature learned quickly, too quickly. The scientists noticed small changes in system behavior. Doors opened a fraction of a second slower. Sensors lagged. Cameras reset themselves. Nothing dramatic, just enough. This isn't coincidence, a technician whispered. Something's interacting with the network. The truth terrified them. The creature was no longer just healing. It was understanding the systems built to cage it. One cycle, as Elias adjusted a scar near the creature's temple, the golden eye focused sharply. You saved me, Elias smiled faintly. You saved yourself. I just helped. The creature shook its massive head slightly. No chains in you, Elias felt his chest tighten. Before he could respond, alarms blared again, but this time they were different. Internal alerts, security overrides, the lights flickered. Guards shouted outside the vault. What's happening? Elias asked. The creature straightened, careful not to trigger the energy fields. Truth waking. Across the Empire, systems connected to Vault 7 began to release sealed data, fragments of records, genetic logs, historical edits. Not enough to expose everything, but enough to raise questions. Her royal tyranny watched reports flood in from across her domain. What is causing this? She demanded. An advisor swallowed. The entity in Vault 7, it's accessing legacy systems, old command codes. Her hand clenched. The human, she said. Remove him. Guards stormed toward Vault 7. Elias heard them coming. The creature did too. Go, it said urgently. Elias shook his head. I won't leave you. The creature lowered its head close to him. You already changed everything. The vault doors shook under heavy force. Weapons powered up. Elias stood between the guards and the creature, unarmed and afraid, but firm. I'm not your enemy, he called out. For a brief moment, the entire vault held its breath. The creature lifted its head high, chains rattling, not in rage, in control, in choice. And in that moment, the Empire realized something too late. Humanity had not rebelled with weapons. It had done something far more dangerous. It had taught the monster how to be free. The doors of Vault 7 shook again. Heavy footsteps echoed through the metal halls. Orders were shouted, weapons powered up with sharp, cold sounds. Elias Mar stood very still. He felt small in that moment. He was unarmed, tired, and afraid. But he did not move away from the creature behind him. It's going to be all right, he said, though he was not sure it was true. The creature, no, the former ruler, stood tall despite the chains. Its breathing was steady. Its golden eye was calm, not angry, ready. Do not fear, it said slowly. The words were still rough but clear enough. The vault doors burst open. Guards flooded in, weapons raised. Energy fields flared brighter, wrapping tight around the creature's body. Step away from it, human, an officer shouted. Elias raised his hands. You don't have to do this, he said. It's not attacking, it never chose violence. The officer hesitated just for a moment. That moment was enough. Across the vault, screens flickered to life on their own. Files appeared, old recordings, genetic logs. Historical edits marked classified royal authority. One of the guards whispered, "What is this?" The creature lifted its head. "The truth," it said. Across the Zereth Empire, hidden systems activated. Data that had been buried for centuries surfaced in archives, public networks, and private channels. The Empire watched. They saw records of a ruler who had chosen mercy over fear. They saw orders that stripped that ruler of identity, reshaped the body, and erased the name from history. They saw the birth of her royal tyranny, built on lies. In the throne chamber high above, her royal tyranny stared at the data streaming across her displays. "No," she said quietly. Advisors spoke in panic. "The systems are spreading it faster than we can stop it. Entire worlds are receiving the files." Her royal tyranny turned away from the screens. "Prepare my transport," she ordered. "I will end this myself." Back in Vault 7, the guards hesitated. Their weapons were still raised, but their hands were no longer steady. Elias felt the shift. "You see it now," he said softly. "You've always been afraid of the wrong thing." The creature stepped forward as far as the chains allowed. "I was broken," it said. "Not destroyed," the energy fields flickered. "Not because of force, because of access." Old command codes, codes older than the current empire, responded to the creature's presence. The chains loosened slightly. The guards stepped back. Moments later, the vault went silent. A single figure entered, her royal tyranny. She walked with perfect control, her expression calm as ever. She looked at Elias first. "You have done great harm," she said. Elias met her gaze. "I healed someone," he replied. "You're afraid of that." She turned to the creature. "You were weak," she said coldly. "You would have destroyed everything I built." The creature looked at her not with hatred but sadness. "You built fear," she laughed once, sharp and bitter. "Fear works," she said. "The Empire stands because of it." The creature shook its massive head slowly. "It stands because it forgot choice." Her royal tyranny raised her hand. Energy surged toward the creature. Elias reacted without thinking. He stepped forward. "Stop," he shouted. The energy froze in midair. The creature had raised its own hand, not to strike, to block. The room trembled, then stilled. The creature lowered its arm. "No more chains," it said. With a final soft hum, the energy fields shut down completely. The chains fell to the floor. The sound echoed like thunder. No one moved. The creature took one careful step forward, then another, free. Her royal tyranny stepped back for the first time in her reign. "You cannot rule," she said, her voice tight. "Not after what you were made into." The creature looked at Elias, then back at her. "I will not rule," it said. Silence filled the vault. "I will heal what you broke." That was the moment the Empire changed. News spread faster than fear ever had. Worlds once silent began to speak. Leaders who had obeyed out of terror began to question. The truth did not demand revenge. It demanded understanding. Her royal tyranny was removed from power, not by execution, not by violence, but by exposure. Her authority collapsed under the weight of what she had hidden. The former ruler, no longer a beast, no longer a weapon, refused the throne. Instead, a council formed, not perfect, not easy, but honest. Elias was offered everything: titles, wealth, protection. He refused all of it. "I just want to go home," he said. Before he left, the creature met him one last time. "You gave me back myself," it said. Elias smiled, tired but warm. "You always had it," he replied. "I just reminded you." The creature bowed its massive head. A ruler once feared by the galaxy showed humility learned from a human healer. Elias returned to the frontier, back to his small clinic, back to broken miners and burned pilots, back to quiet work that rarely made the news, but the galaxy remembered. Other civilizations watched humanity differently now, not as conquerors, not as warriors, but as something far more dangerous. A species that could walk into a monster's cage, see a person, and change the fate of empires without firing a single shot. And far beneath the stars, in places where fear once ruled, a new warning spread. Never turn something into a monster, because if a human heals it, the truth will come with it.